Hello, my name is Debbie Longo, and I'm the Transaction and Compliance Coach for the PC program here at Keller Williams Realty Success. Today, we will be learning about the consent to electronic delivery of purchase or sale documents, wire fraud, and fax for consumers. These forms are required by our office to be completed by the consumer client. They must be uploaded to Command in order for you to be paid at the end of a transaction. We will go over the terms and information on the form and then how to properly complete the form. As always, I'm available for one-to-one sessions if you need further assistance. So let's open your binders to transactions. Again, I would prefer that you use these forms in your binder so you have a template of each for reference. As I always say, something I can't stress enough with all the forms that you will be using is for you to read and understand each form. Don't just send it to your client and say, here, sign this. Whether it's just information or a contract, to know and understand what you are presenting to them and be able to educate your clients. Okay, let's get started. So this form, the consent to electronic delivery of purchase or sale documents. So this is something that is required whether you represent a seller or a buyer. So the first page of this states that the buyer or the seller understands the terms of this contract. The second page of the form selects which documents they are agreeing to have signed, delivered, and recorded electronically. So let's go over the information on this. So this is something that you're going to present to your clients once they start signing documents. So I have read and understand this consent to electronic delivery of purchase or sale documents and consent to the electronic delivery of the documents and/or types of documents listed in Addendum A, which is page 2. Attached in accordance with my instructions below. Electronic delivery of a signed document shall have the same effect as delivery of an original. The documents to be delivered electronically may be sent via electronic mail, email, to the email address set forth below. Use of encryption technology shall not be required. Alternatively, the documents may be sent by facsimile. 2, I understand that during the listing period and during the period of any real estate transaction in which I am involved, and for 60 days after closing of a sale or starting the date of any lease or rental, I am required to provide an email address to which documents and notices can be sent. 3, I further acknowledge that I shall obtain and install on my personal computer the versions of software necessary to open and read the documents that are sent to me. Our office uses DocuSign. Number 4, I understand that upon my request, I will be provided with a paper copy of any documents delivered electronically if electronic delivery fails. Number 5, I understand that as a result of the means by which email is sent over the internet, confidentiality of information cannot be guaranteed. Number 6, I understand that my consent may be revoked or changed, including any change in the electronic mail address to which documents are delivered upon 24 hours written notice by facsimile, by electronic mail, by overnight delivery service, by mail via the United States Postal Service. I understand that I am not required to consent to electronic delivery. A lot of times you have clients that don't trust the internet, don't want to use the internet, would rather have a wet signature. So again, you can have them sign this through DocuSign, or you can have them sign this in person. It doesn't matter, as long as the information is here, as long as it's saved. So each side needs to be dated. If you have one client, 2 clients, each one gets their own side. So on this one, it requires the date, their signature, their printed name, and their valid email address. A fax if it's available, if they prefer to use fax. So Addendum A. Here you can check all documents authorized for electronic delivery. If they are choosing to just have everything signed electronically, everything retained electronically, you can just click off number 1. If for some reason they want to pick and choose which ones they're going to do, you'd need to uncheck this and check which ones they are required or they're requesting to have done electronically. If they do not want to have this signed, anything signed electronically, they do not need to sign this form. That one's a pretty easy one. So next we're going to go into wire fraud. Unfortunately, in this day and age, there are a lot of people who are deceptive. So it's imperative that you talk to your clients about wire fraud. So this is a form that is submitted by the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, and it gives information, basic information about wire fraud. Basically, we do not want your clients' money, their deposit, their proceeds, whatever it is that might be sent electronically, to be compromised. So this form states buyers and sellers need to exercise extreme caution when wiring funds in real estate transactions. Criminals, hackers, target email accounts of real estate brokers and salespersons, as well as other parties involved in real estate transactions, including mortgage brokers, closing attorneys, and title agents. In many cases, they have been able to intercept emailed wire transfer instructions, obtain account information, and by altering some of the data, use emails to redirect the funds to a different account. These emails are convincing and sophisticated and may look like legitimate emails from parties in the transaction. So this is something that you need to stress to your client. To be aware of who they're communicating with. In each real estate transaction, buyer and sellers are advised to never wire funds without personally speaking with the intended recipient of the wire to confirm the routing number and account number. Verify that the contact information is legitimate. Buyer and seller should call using a phone number that is independently obtained and not use the number in an email. Never send personal information such as the social security numbers, bank account numbers, and credit card numbers unless it is through secured encrypted email and personal delivery to the intended recipient. Take steps to secure the systems you are using with your email account, such as using strong passwords and secure Wi-Fi. If you believe you have received questionable or suspicious wire instructions, immediately notify your bank, the escrow agent, and your realtor. Now, by signing this form, the customer, consumer, client acknowledges that you have read and understand and have received a copy of this wire fraud advisory. Simply filled out, you check off buyer or seller, or buyer, seller, and they will sign above these lines, above whatever they are, and make sure that it's dated. Again, this is something that needs to be uploaded and kept on file. Something that people do when they're trying to obtain other people's information is they will send an email that looks exactly like something coming from the attorney, coming from the mortgage broker, coming from you, coming from the bank. They'll change little things in the email address. Everything will look the same. It's one dot, it's one dash, it's one letter, it's one number. It's something that's off from the original email for the valid person that it was supposed to come from. So the best thing that you can say to your client is, if you receive something, call me. If you receive something, send it to me. If someone contacts you, say you'll call them back and call back a number that is familiar to you. Call the mortgage broker directly, call the bank directly, call the attorney directly, call your realtor directly. This can't be stressed enough because unfortunately this happens far too many times. We actually use something called Deposit Link, which is an ACH transfer that we set up as the listing side, and you can have the funds transferred into escrow directly. We don't touch checks. There's no emailing of information. It's just done electronically and it's very safe. And I know that the office has that information. It should be actually in your binder. So if you have any questions regarding wire fraud, any concerns, just let me know. So the next one we're going to go over is facts for consumers. This form I feel is very important, even though it's not actually required for to be uploaded into Command. So this is about the facts that consumers need to know about home inspections. Home inspection is very important on the part of the side of the buyer. A home inspection should be used to find out about the property, the things that the buyer doesn't know. It finds out the age of systems, the structure, learning about how systems work, how the life expectancy of something, if something is performing to its efficiency. Questions about electrical, about plumbing, about the furnace, about the roof. This is a great bit of information on how they can find a home inspection company, how to choose an inspector, what to look for, what questions to ask. Just good information for your client. Again, we want them educated. We want them to understand what they're doing, understand what they're purchasing, and not have any regrets. So about home inspections. A standard home inspection is a visual examination of the physical structure and major interior systems of residential building consisting of one to four dwelling units. Anything over 4 is considered commercial. An inspection can be likened to a physical exam by a physician. However, it should be clearly understood that a home inspection is not to be confused with an appraisal, a building code inspection, a guarantee of any kind, and/or an insurance policy on the condition of the property. During an inspection, the inspector will review the readily accessible exposed portions of the structure of the home, including the roof, the attic, walls, ceilings, floors, windows, doors, basement, and foundation, as well as the heating, air conditioning systems, interior plumbing, electrical systems, and potential problems. Home inspectors are not intended to point out every small problem or any invisible or latent defect in a home. Most minor or cosmetic flaws, for example, should be apparent to the buyer with the aid of a professional. The timing of the home inspection. A home inspector is typically hired by a potential home buyer right after the offer to purchase contract is signed. Prior to executing the final purchase and sales agreement, however, before a potential buyer signs the offer to purchase contract, he or she should be sure that there is an inspection clause in the contract making the purchase obligation contingent on the findings of a professional home inspection. This clause should specify the terms to which both the buyer and the seller are obligated. That's something that we will go over when we do a buyer agency, exclusive buyer agency contract and an offer to purchase. Selecting a home inspector. A good referral sources for home inspection services are friends, neighbors, or business acquaintances who have been satisfied with a home inspector. In addition, lawyers and mortgage brokers may also recommend a home inspector. The names of local inspectors can be found by searching the Division of Professional Licensure website at www.state.ma.us/reg/boards/HI for home inspector, or in the yellow pages where many advertise under building inspection services or home inspection services. Real estate brokers and salesmen may not directly recommend a specific home inspection company or home inspector unless representing the buyer as a buyer's broker. Brokers, however, may provide assistance to buyers in accessing information on licensed home inspectors. A current homeowner may also want to get a home inspection to identify any problems, especially if the owner plans to sell the home in the near future. I see this happening a lot more when it's a buyer's market. They want to make sure that the sellers make sure that there are things that are fixed before they put their home on the market to improve the value. Following are additional tips when searching for a home inspector. As of May 2001, home inspectors are required to be licensed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. A home inspector's license should be verified prior to hiring. Consumers should not be confused by home inspector certifications offered by or sold by home inspection trade societies or companies, obtained via home study courses, or provided by home inspection companies that certify their own home inspectors. Since the home inspection business is unregulated in most states, certifications are available to anyone. A home inspector's license can be verified with the Board of Registrations of Home Inspectors at its website or by calling the board. The home inspection company that is retained should welcome the potential buyer's presence at the home inspection. The home inspector should be willing to address all of the buyer's questions and provide a full verbal and written report. Those hiring inspectors should expect an open door policy from the home inspection company to be able to ask questions about the content of the home inspection report in the future. So something that's important about home inspections is that you need the buyers to be there and you need the buyers to pay attention. The home inspection is for their benefit, for their information, so that they know how things work in their home. This isn't the time to bring through everybody that they want to see the property because they have it under agreement and they have all their relatives come to the home inspection. They need to focus, they need to pay attention to the home inspector. They need to follow the home inspector around. They need to ask questions. That's what they're paying for. This is their home inspection. This report, the report that comes from the home inspector, is not necessarily something that gets transferred over to the seller. If there's some major issues with the home inspection and the buyer wants to go back to the seller on something, the agent can send the entire report or portions of the report back to the seller. A lot of times the sellers don't want it because it means that now that they know what the problem is, they have to repair it or disclose it. Something you consider. During the home inspection, while not necessary, it is recommended that the buyer be present for the inspection. I disagree with this. I think that the buyer needs to be present. That's just my opinion. This allows the buyer to observe the inspector, ask questions directly, and obtain a better understanding of the condition of the home, how its systems work, and how to maintain it. The written report may be easier to understand if the buyer was present during the inspection. I can't stress this enough, how many times people haven't shown up for the inspection and then they have a million questions on the report and it looks like the sky is falling and it's really not. But if they were at the inspection and paid attention, things are better understood. It is important that safe access and sufficient lighting is provided so that the inspector can inspect the property. Inspectors must provide a written evaluation report based on the standards of compliance in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 146. At the conclusion of the home inspection, the buyer should be well informed of the condition of the home. It should be known if there are visible, apparent problems, if repairs need to be made, or whether or not there are any risks of concealed damage, or whether further investigation is recommended and or required. Other inspections and tests to consider. It is strongly recommended that potential buyers consider having the following inspections and or tests performed prior to signing the final purchase and sale agreement. Lead paint, pests, wood destroying insects, including termites, and air quality, including radon gas. While some home inspectors are qualified to offer these services, these inspections and tests are not part of the basic home inspection and should be contracted through qualified licensed professionals in those fields. It should also be noted that the seller is required under 105 CMR 651.010 to provide the potential addition. The seller under 105 CMR 460.750A shall, I just messed that up. It should also be noted that the seller is required under 105 CMR 651.010 to provide the potential buyer with an affidavit disclosing the presence of urea formaldehyde insulation if it exists in the property. In addition, the seller under 105 CMR 460.750A shall disclose if the property has been inspected for lead paint and provide copies of any lead paint reports concerning the residential premises or any dwelling unit therein. So there is a website that you can go on. It's called LeadSafe. Any property in Massachusetts that has been tested is listed on this website. If there is something found, it has to be remediated. It's on this website. You can search any address in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and it will tell you if it's ever been tested, if anything has been found, and if it was remediated. That is something that you want to do your due diligence before selling a property, before listing a property, before your buyer buys a property. There will be a lead transfer notification for any property built prior to 1978. That's something that's required as well with the documents in the transaction. So filing a complaint. While most licensees conduct themselves as true professionals, the Division of Professional Licensure will take action against those licensees who fail to maintain acceptable standards of competence and integrity. In some cases, complaints are made by dissatisfied consumers. However, dissatisfaction alone is not proof of incompetence or sufficient grounds for disciplinary action. If you have a serious complaint about a home inspector, call or write the Division's Office of Investigations and ask for a complaint form. The Division's Office of Investigations is located at 239 Causeway Street in Boston, Mass. And the following is the phone number as well. They also have complaint forms that you can download on their website. So this form, I have my clients initial each page of this form, and I keep it on file. I make sure that they have a copy of it, that they understand it, that they understand the regulations as well as the restrictions that a home inspector has. They can't take things apart. They can't break through walls. They can't rip up carpet. They can't take down ceilings. They can only do a visual examination of what is physically in front of them without destroying the seller's home. So any questions on this, please let me know.